if you want to build a billion-dollar company, you have to be ready to reject big amount of money. Auth0, they ended up selling the company on billions, and for that they reject a couple of offers of billions. And first, they reject to sell the company for 500 millions, then for 1 billion, then for 2 billions. Not every entrepreneur can have the guts to reject that $2 billion selling opportunity.
Welcome to Born to Unicorn. Today we are decoding Ariel Arrieta's algorithm, the mindset and strategy behind building unicorns. Ariel is a serial entrepreneur, investor, and co-founder of NextCP Ventures, one of Latin America's top VC firms. After selling digital ventures to Fox, he turned to investing, backing over 60 startups, including unicorns like Auth0, Nuvem Shop, and Mural. Ariel shares the secrets behind scaling, investing, and winning in the Latin American startup scene. Ariel, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
The first questions. If you can travel and give your younger entrepreneur self just one sentence of advice, what would it be?
You can do it. Ideas worth cents, what is worth millions are the implementation of these ideas. Your most important decision is who will be your co-founder. That is another very important one. Think big is a cliche, but it's very important, especially if you are coming from Latin America, like us. There is plenty of opportunities right now. This is an amazing moment. It was an amazing moment when we start, when at the beginning of the internet, at the beginning of the mobile, but right now it's 10x bigger, or with the AI, amount of opportunities and the time then in what we live, we need to rewrite all the rules, all the status quo will be disrupted by this technology in a unprecedented way. And that's create a lot of opportunities, especially for young, hungry entrepreneurs that they want to change the world, hopefully for better.
Many people will say, yeah, it's easy to make it in the US or make it in in Europe, but how about Latin America? Probably some entrepreneurs are on the other side saying Latin America is impossible with all the craziness. And what do you think about that?
I think it's never easy in any part of the world. Some parts are harder than others. I think I disagree on what Europe is easier than Latin America. I think Latin America or emerging markets in general are easier than Europe. When we talk about US, it's not the same if you are in the Northwest US or if you are in Silicon Valley. I think you have more chances or more opportunities in Silicon Valley. But for the rest of US, there is special hubs like New York or Austin, Texas, or Miami, but for the rest of the country, it's harder. Sometimes it's harder than in the emerging markets. And the opportunity for the emerging market is you can leapfrog some of the innovation and to apply to other areas. There's a bunch of blue oceans in which you can be not the only one, but with less competition than in other markets, and you have sometimes more time to implement, to learn from their mistakes and to improve your products.
That's interesting.
The difference in each market. But in any case, it's easy. It's less harder than others, but always it's hard.
Many founders dream of becoming investors. Very few actually succeed on that field. Ariel, you've done both, okay?
Yeah.
A good entrepreneur and a very good VC. How do you go from one to the other?
I think for a VC, it's good to have some experience and operational experiences. But for me, the advantage is to understand the mindset of the entrepreneur. But the change to be an entrepreneur and convert myself. When you are an entrepreneur, you start a path of evolution. You start, if you want to be a CEO, a good CEO in your company, it's different to be a good founder of an early stage company. Because when in order to be a good entrepreneur, you have to evolve between being a very specialized guy, in which you see opportunities in places that anyone is seeing at that time, because you have a deep knowledge about product or market or technology, and that allows you to see these opportunities. But when you want to be the CEO, you have to evolve to be from very specialized to be a very generalistic. And this is the first evolution that you are doing. And then if you want to be a good VC, you have to change your mindset in the same way, but in a different way, but in other aspects. You have to be a very generalistic to understand markets and opportunities. And also you have to keep this vertical knowledge or domain expertise in which you learn very deep in an industry, but not from the operational side. When I make my transformation to be a VC, that was the part that was easier for me. The harder part for me was to understand that as an investor, you cannot fight all the battles. You as an entrepreneur, you have to fight every battle, and the way that you chase every opportunity is an edge that you found that will bring for you the extra mile that makes the difference. But as an investor, you don't have to fight all the battles. You have to choose very carefully, very wise, where would be the battles that you will pursue and where will be the baskets in which you will put your eggs. And you have a few eggs and you have to be very careful. What is the allocation of these eggs?
And what's the hardest lesson you learned as a founder that made you a better investor?
A bunch of them. I think the most important one is to understand the real motivation of the founders, if they are willing to build something bigger or not. Because there is many ways to make money than create a startup. I think a startup is one of the toughest one. If you're driving only for making money, probably you will fail or you will achieve some level of return that is not matched with the expectation of a VC. For a VC, you need to create exponential returns. And if you build this type of returns, require founders that are able to looking for these amazing returns and they don't fulfill with any number. And understanding that, you have to find what is the real motivation of each founder. And you realize that the founders that create these billion-dollar companies have the motivation to, from different reasons, to fulfill something that will never be fulfilled. Sometimes it's achieve something bigger than their father, or having some fears about being in the poverty, or something that you have your own ghost that coming from the past, and every like that. These founders have their own secret source of motivation that is related with some special story, unique from each of them.
And Ariel, you backed incredible startups. The one company that you saw early and instantly you knew this is going to be big.
The reality is you never know, because when you have the conviction and you see this will be something bigger or amazing, and then you realize that there is some problem that this company could be, but they never achieved this status, or you found that other companies that you think that could be, that there is a path to have this growth, but then you realize that there is another company that you underestimate this growth and they surpass the at the end of the day, when you are writing the check, you have to have enough conviction that this company have to pay for the whole portfolio, and they have to have a rational path to believe that this company could be big. That's the requirement. Then going back of what I'm saying before, you have to understand the motivation of the founder, because real example, we invest in a company called Kangu. Kangu was a company that the founders of this company, they was coming from the senior management of a company called Rápido Cometa that they was selling to FedEx. But this company, Rápido Cometa, was not a startup, was a family company, and this manager was only manager. They didn't have equity. They received a very good bonus to participate on that, but there was just employees. These guys create another company called Kangu. They detecting a amazing business model in which they used to put some pickup points. It's a logistic company. They make arrangement on some pickup points in mom and pops, and they create a network of independent transporter. And with that, with almost no money, with technology, they create this network of at that time 1,000 or almost 2,000 pickup points in Sao Paulo. And this network was very efficient. When we decided to invest, when they have they are running 38,000 packages by month, moving this package for e-commerce logistics. And then they came in the pandemia, COVID, and there was a problem with the main companies in Brazil, and they captured with the strikes and everything, and they captured this opportunity to grow faster. And in 2 years, they grow from 38,000 packages to 7 million of monthly packages. That was in an exponential curve. And when we invested, we put for 18% of the company or something like that. I don't remember. And at that time that they grow exponentially, there was always almost to raise $16 million at $300 million valuation of the company. But then coming in Mercado Libre and make them an offer to buy the 100% of the company for around 100 million. And the founder have the chance to decide they will sell in the company and that price that was low from the market price, or they have the commitment to grow the company and to scale and became to be a unique. That decision is a rational decision, but also is related of who are the founders, what they are thinking, what are the aggressiveness or the motivation. Long story short, the founders decided to sell the company and don't have a issue with Mercado Libre, who was the main client, and they have a great concentration on the revenue coming from this company. But if you want to build a $1 billion company, you have to be ready to reject big amount of money. We have the other cases, companies like Auxiro. Yeah. They ended up selling the company on billions, and for that they reject a couple of offers of the first opportunity that they reject to sell the company for 500 millions, then for 1 billion, then for 2 billion. Not every entrepreneur can have the guts to reject that $2 billion selling opportunity.
In the past, we have a conversation with Giver, one of the founder of Globant, and we were talking about that in many cases, the difference is made more by the no's you say than for the yes you say, right?
One thing that the Giver did very well, and the founders of the VCs of Giver, in this case, Riverwood, each round that the company raised capital, they separate some money for the founders. And with that, the amount of growth, the change that they have to do is less than in other cases when you have all your money, 99.9% of your wealth is allocated in the company. With that, you reduce this gap. If every round the founders receive some liquidity
Cash
from
out.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
That is
fantastic
that.
idea. I
Yeah.
didn't know about that, but I
Yeah.
think it's a great idea because in most of the cases, we entrepreneurs, we never saw a huge amount of money before the exit.
Yeah.
And in many cases, I know people that they were kind of like poor entrepreneurs from rich companies. And that's something that at some point pushes the entrepreneur instead of making the company grow more and sell it for more money. So at some point it says, you know what, I'm selling the company.
Yeah.
But I never heard that before. I think it's a fantastic idea. That was an idea from Riverhood, you said?
No, they did in Riverwood. They did that in the case of Global, and this is a now written rule that all the money that the VC put on it, that they are allocated to the company. But I think it's a best practices if you can separate some money to let the founders pay the mortgage and not enough to buy the Ferrari, but at least to cancel the mortgage or to move the family to a bigger house. That used to be a good idea. Align the interest for the long run and
I think
they
it's a great one.
reduce the incentives to a short selling.
Ariel, if a startup wants to raise funding today, what's one thing they should absolutely not do?
The word absolutely, it depends of every case. Not all the founders have the chances to select their investors. And if you are lucky enough to select your investors, the advice is try to find an investor that understands your values and you are aligned in the values and what you are expecting from the company and what you are expecting for the company match what the funds needs, and try to choose not the brand of the fund, who will be the investor that will be helping me in the board of the company, who will be sitting with me, and I have to develop a trusted relationship. It's like choosing a partner. You have to be aligned. It's like a marriage, and probably you will spend more time with these investors for years until they they can exit. Choosing by person is more important than choosing by brands.
It's interesting because most entrepreneurs, when they are raising capital, they are focused mostly on the money than in knowing if if the investor or potential investor is a good fit for the company. It's like they're not really defending, this idea of I'm gonna kind of be married with these people for a long time, and I want to make this happen. And somehow you don't care about. It's like going to a date and then and don't ask any question to other person and says, yes, I want to keep dating this person. That's weird, right?
Yeah, as the same way that you are the fund will be doing a due diligence on the company and on the founders and to understand the story of the founders or the cross reference from each senior partner in the company. You have to do the same with the fund and understand and talking with the other portfolio companies or with especially with the partner that is pushing for the deal and they will be sitting in the board. You are selecting a board member also as a collateral of investing receiving the capital.
Ariel,
As
investors. Oh
we
yeah,
say
go
at
ahead.
the beginning, yes, we say at the beginning, it's not for all the companies or founder are in the position to choose their founder. If you are lucky enough, then you have to do this as well.
And Ariel, investors say, I invest in people, not in companies, right? Could you describe what's the meaning of that phrase?
The meaning is that you are trusting in the person, in their ambitious. Probably the business model of a company can change. The product, of course, will change. And at the end of the day, you are trusting in. If you are investing in C station or in a Series A, there is no assets in the company. The only value of the company is the team. You are using this and investing in these people plus a bunch of ideas, a bunch of documents, maybe an MVP, maybe right now you don't have no more than a bunch of computers, not even a server or an IP.
But what are the variables? I mean, resilience, or how when you let's break down this I trust in the entrepreneur in variables, and how do you prove that those variables are true?
First of all, you have a goal, industry, and knowledge expertise about building, understanding the problem that you want to solve. Then your vision to select the business model for these opportunities, your read of the market, your capacity to attract talent, to um, to show the vision that you want to build. This vision has to use to the way that you tell the story of the company is the way that you can convince the people to work with you or your customers to work with you. And then the execution capabilities. If you are able to ship products or to understand what are the problems of these products and ship a new version and continue to evolve in the product, that's a capability that you can show. Then your opinion or knowledge about the industry, the relationships, your work ethics, your values, and the motivation. That's all that we need to evaluate prior to make any investment. And at the end of the day, if I will spend, I don't know, years working with you, I feel comfortable and I enjoy to work with you or not. And that's just
let's talk a little bit about the venture capital secrets and unicorn stories. What's a myth about VC funding that every founder should forget?
Could you repeat?
Yes. What's a myth?
Yeah.
About the VC funding that every founder should forget. So something that,
Yeah. The bigger one, I think all the VCs are creating value for the company. That is not all the VCs create value.
You
for
shouldn't
the
be
company.
saying this, Ariel.
Oh, no, yeah. And sometimes they destroy value or they force the founders to take wrong decisions. At the end of the day, you have to trust in the founder. You have to share your ideas or what you think is the best for the company with the founder. And at the end of the day, the founder have to take the decision. That's a entrepreneur. It's like a kind of parenting. You can say to your son, you know that sometimes doing this that way is better, is the best way to do it. But sometimes you have to let the founders to do this in their own way to learn the lessons and then realize, because you have to find a way to make an inception of your own ideas in the founder mind. But if there are your ideas, that's not will work. But if you find a way to convince the founder that there are his ideas, not yours, that is what makes a good VC. The one that share with you their idea, what they think is the best way based on the casuistic that they already know and understand and they see other patterns in other companies, and sharing this with the founder, and the founder have the ability to learn not just from their experience, also for the other people's experience. That is also a good founder. And when you found this, you increase the chances to succeed.
That's interesting. Another thing is, unicorns, or let's say high impact companies, because some companies never
much
become
better.
unicorns. Yes, and some companies never become a unicorn, but the profile of the entrepreneur is a high impact entrepreneur, right? Someone that wants to change the world, do something big. But by definition, a unicorn is an outlier, right? So it's hard to find patterns that connect them all, because actually, if you're modeling with unicorns, you will see these isolated dots that are not probably part of the curve, normal curve. But beside like more formal models, in your experience, what do you all share in common?
Each in their own way. For me, the most distinctive aspect is this motivation from the founders that we talked earlier, that they have the uniqueness, drive to build something that is scale. And at the beginning, no any of the companies that became to be unicorns started with the vision to build up a unicorn. Someone that started with the ambition to solve a big problem, like Emiliano Cargeman with Satellogic, for example, is the one that he thought from the day one that that's gonna happen. That will be a big problem to solve. How to create a new generation of satellites that takes picture from all over the world.
I heard this phrase that is, don't fall in love with your company, fall in love with your client's problem. What do you think about that?
Yeah, with the problems. And sometimes this problem is not just your client's problem. It used to be your problem, or your father or your mother, or some stories that solving this problem is more important for you than for any other person. Because when you will invest 10 years or 5 to 10 years in solving a problem that for the rest of the people is a problem that is not worth to pay attention. But for these founders, they invest years and a ton of effort to solve these problems. Picking the right problem is very important. Having an emotional connection is an edge.
That's cool. Emotional connection with solving the problem, right? And so here is I would say a situation that is hard to balance, right? Because on one side you need someone that is stubborn, right? I want to I want to get there, and I will do it no matter what. So we are talking about a stubborn entrepreneur. But on the other side, everybody is looking, or most VCs are looking for entrepreneurs that listen to them. What's the right balance between I listen everything you say, and I want to look like I'm open to feedback, and I would make this happen no matter what?
Yeah. I think you don't want to have the founder that makes everything that you say, because that is not what you're looking for. And the other side, you don't want to have the founder that everything that you say something they don't pay attention, don't listen. I think the right balance is understand what you listen first, then process and came with some arguments that you will take your own decisions, evaluating all these data points and understanding that the best solution is this other one. And I have also cases in which, for example, a company called Axenia, we believe that the founder wants to make a pivot. And this pivot meaning that instead of being a solution provider, a tech software as a service to help all the industry, they think that the best opportunity is to be a broker and to be part of the value chain in a different way and use the technology as an edge to compete with other brokers. And we think that this pivot will reduce the multiple of the company because it's not so scalable like a broker. And the broker is more transactional. And we advise to the founders that don't follow this path. The founder hear us, make your own analysis, and they decide to go on that direction even without advice. We
Now,
ended up
go ahead.
convincing the founder we support the founder anyway. And at the end of the day, I think he was right and we was wrong, because the other companies, their competitors that they pursue the same model, they are not exist anymore, and they have a business. They acquire a company, a broker. They integrate in this business model, and they find a way to grow, probably with less aggressiveness that a VC is looking for, and with other potential of multiples. But the company is alive, is growing, is thinking in acquire more companies and grow it, like having a very successful development.
Multi-billion-dollar company founder said, best founders are jerks. Do not work for them, but invest in them. What's your take on that phrase?
Let's talk more about the type of VC or the type of investor that the founder. I personally, I don't want to work with the people that I don't like. Sharks probably will be a good opportunity, but it's not worth my time or my reputation. Sometimes you invest in people thinking that is a really good person, and then you realize at the end of the day there was shark, or and we made that mistake. But I think life is too short to spend time with people that you don't like.
That's interesting. The other day, having a conversation in a previous podcast with Ariel Poller, who's someone I really, I appreciate a lot as an investor and, a type of person and everything. And he said, one of the things that I do before investing in a company is try to spend some time with the founders and see if I will enjoy this, because at the end of the day, this can fail, but at least I can enjoy this path and learn and have a good moment with them. So you would say like it's more on that direction.
Yeah, and that would be this choice would be very expensive. In the case of Ariel Poller, he was losing the opportunity to be one of the first investors in Twitter because he was investor in Odeo. But through this,
he talked about that in the podcast. Yeah,
way of thinking, he rejected the opportunity to convert their equity in Odeo to be one of the first investors in Twitter, because the founder was fighting every time and he was all the mess and he don't want to spend more time on that. And that's a great case. And I think he's an amazing investor. He had the opportunity to be there and he invested in many other companies, but being honest with the way that you invest could be expensive.
Yeah. And what I like about Ariel is that he's like a living algorithm. It's like, it's like probably he has the higher conversion rate from all funds, but he's a person, right?
Yeah, for sure. I saw these many different angel investors that they are having unique opportunities, and they are putting some money in early stage in companies. Being a founder, you will have these opportunities.
Ariel, we are getting into the last part of this interview. I hope you're having a good time. I do. I'm really enjoying this conversation. So right now we are jumping into the rapid fire. Okay, so it's question answer. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Sure.
The biggest misconception about venture capital?
Probably the one that I say, that we always create value. I think for the founders, not always. We try to create value for the base, but sometimes some funds are not doing even that.
One book every founder should read?
Many of them. I think Think About Hard Things is one of the most important. 0 to 1. I don't want to be obvious, but that's true. Will be very important.
Morning person or night owl?
When I was young, was old, but right now I'm a morning person. I wake up early to prepare my kids to the school and everything, and I enjoy this part of the day. A few years ago, I didn't choose. I appeared to the office at 10, 11, and I went to my house at 11 also every day for most of my founder part.
With 10 million today, would you invest in a startup or start in one yourself?
It's a good question. Right now, I probably invest in startups. Yeah.
It's nothing inside of you that's still there, living and saying, I want to do it. I want to do it again.
Yeah, I will do something else in a moment, but I'm not sure which will be the opportunity that I will jump again. But yeah, probably.
If you weren't a VC, what you would be doing?
Being an entrepreneur, building
What?
goals.
What industry? What would you be doing?
Right now, AI, but it's not an industry. I don't know, probably I always understand in a different way the media industry. I think right now is a very interesting revolution. Or we live in a moment in which AI is rewriting the rules for every industry. And when you have knowledge about one industry, you have this opportunity to reimagine how to be in this industry. It's very hard to imagine a new industry because probably we cannot imagine how these new rules will apply. It's like being in if everyone have a horse and you try to imagine how do you be running in a highway, it's impossible to think that way. And we are living in this moment. And right now, what we need to do is rethinking the way that we connect with companies. With the UX will be completely rethinking, not even with a computer, with a voice and talking with AI. And every UI will be conversational or by text, or and with that you have to rethink everything again.
Yeah, I think a very good point that the first wave of internet was about learning things. It was more complex. It was, I need to know how to use this or that. The second wave of revolution, like that, we can say AI is, it's not about knowing. It's all the opposite. It's about without knowing, you can achieve a lot of things. So I think this is gonna be nothing. The little, internet was this, if you compare it with what is going to happen in the next years. So this conversation was packed with gold, Ariel. I really appreciate your time, your experience, and you're always open to share your knowledge. So I really appreciate it. And I hope everybody enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. And of course, if you're looking on the other side, smash that subscribe button, comment, tell us how we can make this better. We have a lot of fantastic guests in the future. One is one of the founder of Endeavor. That's fantastic. It's going to be crazy. So Ariel, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for me.